what happens when we cannot get control of our cities? With this polarizing kind of way with the war and how it's affecting people here. We're having pro-Hamas rallies, we're having pro-Israel rallies, we're having pro-Ukrainian rallies, we're having just animosity in the cities. When the police are not able to control it, what happens? Two things: civil war or a martial law state. Both of those are not good, and both of those, I think, are two common avenues that we could possibly see here in America. Now let's jump into why I say that. And I know that's just an opinion, but I believe that if we look at the common sense and the approach of try to seek wisdom in it, there's no common ground, and we're splitting further and further apart, and then we're having financial splits taken away from our middle class. So we're making a lot of heavy divisions. When those divisions start being more permanent, then you're going to see one of these two things happen. Let's jump into it today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about this content. Our goal is to give as much information to you as possible, and hopefully you'll build the best common sense and most wisest decision for you and your family, and how to stay safe as a prepper, as a homesteader, as someone who wants to live sustainable. Hey, check out the shirts. Remember, Awake Not Woke. This is one of our new shirts on our Bonfire account. You can check those out. It comes in several colors. There's several new designs that would fit every one of your family members for Christmas especially. So check that out. Now, let's talk about today why I say civil war or martial law. One or two things. So we are seeing more polarization. We're seeing more problems on our streets because of already criminality, already homelessness, already people can't afford their bills. So that's one thing. So you're seeing the middle class not being there anymore, and you're seeing it really become a lower class or a dependent class on the government. That's already happening. Now all of a sudden you throw the fact of the war situation. Well, you're starting to see pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian rallies, and they're really with the same kind of right mentality that we saw during the BLM and the trans rights kind of movements and things like that. So you're starting to see that movement of polarization on one side. We're not really preaching a pro-Palestinian movement of free the people. It's more of we're supporting terrorists or we're supporting the annihilation of Jews. We're seeing that here even in America. Very dangerous, really dangerous. And the more we allow those sides to be picked, the more we're building a polarized nation. Instead of saying we're one nation under God, under one flag, and yes, these issues do affect us, we should work together and figure out the best way to move forward. We're just building a nation that is not one nation under God, not under one flag, and we're building a more polarized version of that. So how do you get a hold of the cities if all of a sudden the police can't and the politicians can't? We already see it. We're at an all-time low on support of police. We're at an all-time low support of local government. We're at an all-time low support of congressmen and representatives and senators. We're at an all-time low on the support of the president. The president's weaker across the world than we've ever seen. Our strategic oil is low. Our food insecurity is going up with inflation and interest going crazy. There's a lot going on. Now, why do I say all that? Because when we can't trust anyone, then we go to the streets. When we go to the streets, that's when we see the riots or the battles. That's why you see the colliding with the police and all these pro-Hamas supporters. Now, it's not just worldwide, it's here in America. What happens, though, when the police cannot control it? Well, National Guard's called in, Army's called in, military's called in. Well, we're already down our military. Remember, we have local recruitment numbers. Do we have the support to go and take care of our cities? Well, then if we don't, then there needs to be more regulation and more control. Well, more regulation, more control means for more of a martial or police state. So are we looking at curfews? Are we looking at more combatant style policing? Well, that's one way. And I think that that's a scary thing. I don't think that's good for anybody. But I don't believe we should have riots in the streets and just cause major damage or cause support for a terrorist group. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Remember, this land was the Jewish land way before it was the Palestinian lands. And remember, if you go back, this is a spiritual war. We talk about this all the time. Israel and the Palestinian people, the Philistines, all the old historical culture in the Bible, they've never liked each other, even in the Old Testament. So you're not going to fix something. Biden's not going to fix something. No president is going to fix something. You try to do as much as you can to band-aid it, but this is a battle that will go on until time ends, to be honest with you, especially if you think spiritual like I do. So if we start picking sides and we start going to war and we start doing all this, all we're doing is polarizing more people here in America to pick a side, and therefore we're causing more problems. Well, if the cities are causing more problems, we don't have the support, we don't have the trust of media and the government, then when they go to the streets and all of a sudden police can't control it, we call the military in, we have a police state. That would happen very, very soon, and it will be very close to happening, especially if we see this keep going on. If this war escalates and then more people go to the streets, I don't know if you're having friendly protests anymore and riots anymore like you did in 2020. I believe you're going to see it blow up, and you're going to see people get tired of it a lot quicker, because this is a bigger polarizing issue when it comes to spirituality and Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Now, let's lay that aside. Maybe we don't have a police state. What happens when these rioters start going and looting and breaking laws and theft, not just in the city, but they start moving into rural areas? I believe that's when you're going to start seeing a major trajectory to a us versus them mentality. When that us versus them mentality happens, which we're already seeing it with the no middle class, we're already seeing that with, everybody's being more covetous, more jealous of what people have. That's why we go in major debt to try to get wants first needs. It goes back a long way, and there's a lot of problems we got to deal with. But if we start seeing more of this city-style thieving and looting that's not getting controlled in the city, and they start moving to the rural areas, I believe you're going to see more chaos. And I think the chaos is going to then put Americans versus Americans, because people are not going to say, I'm going to allow these people just to steal all I've earned, especially if you're in the rural America or in the areas that are a little bit more conservative, a little bit more libertarian. I think a lot of times people in our, like me, I live in small town Mississippi. I don't think about riots and protests all the time, especially if I'm not going anywhere. I did this last week because we were going to major cities. But when it comes down to it, I really don't think about it too much. However, that danger is not moving towards my home yet. But what if it does? What happens? We talked about the police state side. And if they stay in the cities, I believe you'll see more martial law and more police state, more curfews. That could happen. More regulation. But if you see the people move from the cities into the counties or rural areas and do the same theft they're doing in the cities and trying to burn stuff and hurt personal property, I believe you're going to see more of a citizen-style anarchy. And what I mean by that is not the fact that they're trying to cause harm to the people that are causing mischief to their place, but they're going to protect what's theirs. So therefore, that us versus them mentality starts. Then when that starts, what happens with the government and the police state? They see a problem, they overregulate, politicians get involved, and they want to try to save the day and be the Superman, so therefore you have more regulation, more police state, and more militarization. What happens at that point? We're chasing a rabbit here, guys. We're seeing all-out chaos. We're going to see anarchy still in the streets. We're going to see more of us versus them, and then you're going to see the libertarians, the freedom-minded people in the county say, why are you taking my rights? Why are you pushing these regulations on me? Why are you taking my firearms and my self-defense obligations when all of a sudden I did nothing? I'm not the one running to the city. These people are coming out to us. That could be dangerous, and that could pose major problems. So while we're dealing with a war across the sea, and we're putting our people across the sea, we're missing out on these two things right here. Either the cities get too bad and you see the police state, martial law, which means they take everything, they own everything, definitely communistic. It could happen. Or you're going to see the city move into the county and have the same issues, and when they move out in the county, you're going to see citizen-style judgment and citizen-style anarchy, where they take a approach where they're going to protect what's theirs in this us versus them. And that's when it gets very dangerous. A quote from Abraham Lincoln, it says, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." I believe why, again, puppeteering and why we have all this going on across the world, we're losing sight of what's happening here. We've talked about the border, we've talked about our financial problems, but basically all that just goes into one big stirred piece of dynamite that's going to all of a sudden explode one day. One of two things: a police martial law state in the cities, curfews, and more regulation, or you're going to have the city try to go into the counties and do the same thing. The rural areas are going to protect what's theirs, and then you're going to see civil war break out. Sadly, I don't know if our government can stop any of it because no one trusts who they elect to go to Congress and who they elect to go to the presidency, who they elect to go to all those places. Sad. It's so sad. All this really goes back to weak leadership. It's like my home. If I'm not a good father and I can't if I can't take care of my financial problems, if I can't take care of my wife, if I can't provide a sheltered home and all the comforts that hopefully that America, that a first world country should for my children. Not all the riches and all that. I'm talking about just the protections, the food on the table, and love and care and security. If I provide all that, I'm going to see a stronger family and a better chance for them to be stronger Americans and to do well for their families. I'm starting a better family tree. If I say I'm not going to do that, though, and I'm going to be a terrible father, I'm never going to provide for my wife, I'm never going to provide a roof over their head, we're always going to be in piles of debt, we chance losing cars, we chance losing the home, the Repo Man's always there, and we are insecure of all things, and I don't do anything, I don't love, I don't secure the situation, I don't know if I have food on the table, then I'm making a problem, and those kids see that problem, and therefore they're not going to respect me anymore. Well, that's kind of like we've done in America. We're not protecting our home anymore. We're not taking care of all the things here locally. So therefore, it's like when, the cat's away, the rats will play. Well, it also goes with chaos too. If we're not watching over the situation and we're not in the house, the rats are coming out and they're going to play. They're going to do what they want to do, and they're not going to respect you at all because you're not there doing anything to enforce what's going on to be better. You are not leading. You are weak. So therefore, America looks weak right now. We look very weak, and when we look weak, that means the government has to overcompensate with more laws, regulations, and rules, like they did this week when they told firearms manufacturers that they could not sell across the seas. That's wrong, by the way, that you can't export firearms. That's none of the government's business, by the way, I don't believe. But that's how they do it. They overregulate and overcompensate for their weak leadership, or they go pure hands-off anarchy and then problems in the street and civil war starts. Give me your thoughts. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Go back to a quote by Abraham Lincoln. Again, implosion and the problems with America is pretty much within, not from outside forces. So sometimes I think, why are we messing with outside forces when we should just leave people alone, let them fight their own battles, and us close our borders and try to build a strong leadership so people will respect our government, but also have the freedoms and rights, and they won't have to overregulate the problems that are going on. Let me know what you think. This is just my thoughts for this video today. I believe that we're looking at locally a depression or World War III will start. I do believe that, like I said in the video yesterday. However, when we see all the problems that's going on, two things are going to happen here. More martial law, more overregulation, or chaos in the streets and more civil war coming to our homes. Those are not good things. The only help is revival, revolution, and repentance. We need repentance bad, and we need a change from all this stuff we're doing and try to focus on truth again, common sense, wisdom, and most of all, Christ. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading.